Hello, my lovely subscribers out there. This is YouTube Vids coming at you guys with another video, dudes. So hey, I heard something interesting on the. I was listening to the Dan Patrick Sports Talk show this morning, and they had an interesting question topic that came up that I figured I'd share with you guys for anyone who didn't hear that or didn't hear about it already. So one of the questions that they had was, whose career would you want to have had? That of Nick Saban, the Alabama coach, or Bill Belichick, the coach of the New England Patriots. Now, of course, quickly you get into the distinction between the two. Clearly, Nick Saban, he's obviously a very successful college coach. He's had multiple national titles. I think that 5 or so, at least in 10 years. And then you have Bill Belichick on the other hand, who has 4 or 5 rings with the Patriots, over however long he's been there. It's been a while, right? So those were some of the kind of primary arguments why you would want to have one guy's career or the other. And so for me, I started thinking about it, and I think one of the things that Dan Patrick specifically pointed out, especially not in favor of Bill Belichick, was the fact that you kind of have these asterisks over there when you have to talk about New England. The other thing that didn't work in the favor of Bill Belichick and his perspective was the fact that he's only had one quarterback that entire time. And you have to agree that is the case. He's worked with one quarterback. They've had primarily the same coaching staff for an extended period of time. They've been very fortunate with how they've been able to keep things together over there, as opposed to having guys leaving for other coaching jobs. Obviously they had that with McDaniels 1 year or 2 years, how many years it was when he left for Denver. So they've been fortunate in that regard. They've been fortunate to have Tom Brady be as stable as he has been for the time he has been playing the game. But that they kind of figured counted against him, because then the question you had was, well, is it Belichick or is it Brady? Or is it just a combination of both? But they said, well, you kind of have to share that with Brady. That's not just you, Belichick. And on the flip side, the argument for Saban was, well, Nick Saban has won a championship with every single person that's come through that program in Alabama over the course of 10 years. Literally every kid that's come through that program has won a national title. There's not a lot of coaches that can say that. Plus, again, you have to keep in mind you've had at least in 10 years, you're going to have at least 3, 4, 5 different QBs that played for you, 3, 4, 5 different halfbacks that played for you. Those kids are they're in there for a certain period of time and they're gone. They're in there, maybe they play for 3 years and they're gone, or play for 4 years, they're gone. Whereas with the NFL, you do have, I will say, you certainly have some turnover in roster, but the one thing that's consistent there is that you always had the same QB. Whereas again with Alabama, you have to, Nick Saban had to obviously be good enough to coach up the entire team, including a new quarterback at least once every 3 or 4 years, and also win national titles with that completely different group of players. So it's not like you just had we had one guy leave or 2 guys leave. You're basically having almost complete roster turnovers, year after year, in some cases. So that was their reason behind Nick Saban. I know that he actually had Reggie Miller call in, and Reggie Miller seemed like he was more of a pro type of guy, and he's more of a NFL/NBA. He's not looking at college basketball necessarily or college football necessarily. So he was like, oh, I would take Belichick career in a heartbeat, because he won the Super Bowls, and that's the ultimate place that people want to be. That's the ultimate goal, is to win at the pro level. And while I kind of agree with that to an extent, I feel like his focus is that he was just so pro if that's such a thing, but I think you know what I mean. He was so pro that he couldn't really think about it any other way, you know. And I get what he means by like that being the ultimate goal, but at the same time, that doesn't mean that you have less that your success as a college coach is any less important just because it's college. Because one, you're not only are you doing it like I mentioned earlier with different roster every year, but you also have to consider that this guy is responsible for helping to shape the lives of kids going into the NFL. So I mean, there's a huge responsibility with that, and keeping these guys straight while they're in school and making sure that they're reaching their academic achievements and all that kind of stuff, in order to continue to play football. So there's a lot that goes into that as well. So I don't think that it's easy to just undermine what Saban's done. That I guess the reason why I feel like, you know, for me, I'm the perfect person to, one of the perfect people to come in and try to say one way or another is because of the fact that I don't like anyone on the stream who knows me knows that I don't like the Patriots and I don't like Alabama. I dislike Alabama, and mainly I guess more recently because of the fact that I still feel like Ohio State should have been in the CFP and not Alabama. So, but that's said and over with. Either way, the discussion was, which career would you take on? You know, would it be Nick Saban if you could have, or Bill Belichick? So now that you've heard the thoughts of other people, and honestly, like I said, I kind of side with the Nick Saban thing. I feel like that's a much more challenging situation, and to me, it seems like you have to be like it takes a big person. It takes a strong person, I think, to have to go do what he does. So, and again, like you never hear me say this about anyone or anything in Alabama. So again, the only reason why this came up was because they brought up this kind of question. But yeah, I mean, I feel like you have to do a lot in order to make that happen, right? I mean, you have, like I said, I've already given the reasons why. I agree with all the reasons they gave. Was the turnover in roster, having to win with a different team almost every year, or trying to win with a different team almost every year. So those are my thoughts and opinions on it. You know, again, not most of them were my own, but I mean, I tend to agree with the thoughts and opinions that those guys gave. And it made sense to me to side with Nick Saban being the career that would make the most sense to take. So now, you know, it's up to you guys. What do you guys think? You know, how would you? Let me know in the comments, dudes. Like, whose career, if you could have taken anyone's career, Nick Saban or Bill Belichick, who would it be and why? All right, guys. So that's your assignment for the day, and I will see you guys later.